And I think actually it starts pretty quickly. So I'm gonna say hello, Kyle. How are you doing this week? Where are you these days?
Where am I? Yeah, I'm out in the gold country of California, up
The
in like Nevada
Gold Country.
City.
What is that?
Um, it's kind of the area in the lower foothills, kind of the Sierra Nevada mountains, where gold was discovered. There's a lot of like really old mining towns here. Um, yeah, that are just like really quaint and cute to visit. They're kind of tucked back uh in the mountains here. Grass Valley, Nevada City, cute little towns with like
Nice.
the town Nevada City has some of California's like I think it has California's oldest theater. It has like one of the oldest post offices. It's just like an original town because they established it in the mountains to do mining for gold. So there's like
Nice.
a bunch of these little old towns in the gold country.
Nice, man. Well,
It's
happy
it's
travels.
it's snowed up here too. It snowed up here the other day too, which was a rare thing to happen. It's only like 3,000 feet here, so it's kind of rare to see it that low.
So everybody, real quick, just FYI for everybody who's watching the live, Kyle is in a hotel. Like I said, he's traveling. His internet absolutely sucks. So we're gonna see if we can. My internet could suck too, but we're gonna see if we can't manage a conversation without talking over each other for the duration of this. But as you know, Kyle is the editor in chief for Daily Crypto News Substack, and I am Matt. I'm the host of your podcast, and we have things to talk about today. So what's on our list is we're going to be talking about Argentina. We're going to talk about Hayden Davis, the SEC, and ETF filings. We're going to talk about some AI still in crypto. I don't know anything about that. That's Kyle's ball. We have this survey from Data for Progress about does the American people want a crypto reserve? I have my opinions initially by reading this, and we'll look at what they say, and we'll see what Kyle says. And then we have some listener questions. And also, there's somebody's trying to short Bitcoin, and it is pretty interesting because it's a lot of money and they can get liquidated pretty quick if they didn't get liquidated already. And of course, yeah, we have listener questions that we're going to go into. But first, let's start with this Argentina Hayden Davis news article, man. What do you think?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's totally right that the people of that country should want to arrest him. Whether or not he's like fled to a country that doesn't have an extradition treaty with Argentina is
Can
another
you
question.
explain what's going on
But
first? Can you explain Hayden Davis and Argentina, this whole thing, and then give your opinion?
yeah, Hayden Davis is the I don't know his exact title, but he was like running Kelsier Ventures, and Kelsier Ventures was more or less like the advisory group. And this is what's come out in the last couple months. There was some big reporting from CoinDesk and a couple other outlets early March, mid February about the Malay incident with the Libra coin, as well as Melania Trump's meme coin that came out like the first week of Trump's election, as well as potentially even I think it was the Baron token as well. Um, so, anyways, these guys are connected to meme coins, and what's come out is that they are essentially like their own like cabal that has been doing inside trading. The guy Hayden Davis actually went on um, a couple different live streams, and like this is like the idiotic part. Like, he went and just like spoke to random people in the media. Stupid thing that FTX did and didn't go or it, well that Sam Bankman-Fried like for the first like 48 hours tried to like talk his way out. So this guy went on CoffeeZilla, which is a great interview on YouTube. You can check that out. Where essentially he just said it's to insider trading and like market manipulation. Um, and yeah, so again, Argentina's president was involved in, wrapped in this, and yeah, now the people of Argentina are like trying to get this guy to ask him questions. So that's kind of what's happening. Do the people of Argentina have the right to bring him in and ask him questions? Like that's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think this was something I really want to talk about this week because it's showing that there is going to be accountability, and I think that a lot of new people in the space. I did a poll on Spotify, and it looks that probably about 80%, 70 to 80% of our listeners are just new to the space. They're between 0 and 2 years in the space, and that is pretty new. And the other people have been around for either
Mhm.
4 or 6, whatever. And so when you're seeing stuff like this, you're like, oh, this crypto comes out and whatever. And I remember, back in 2016 when I started messing with alts, and I called them alts at the time because now they're just meme coins and there's many different designations. You were just like, oh, you hear some news, some whatever, and you ape into it, and then you get rugged, and then you ape into it and get rugged, and you think that every little bit of news is going to, pump your bag. And there's still coins out there, and that are been around but are pretty much dead because nobody's working on them anymore. And so now that you have 13 million coins out there, this is just one of those instances. And so what people really don't understand is the sophistication behind the, I guess, business models of some of these, I guess, scammers that come out here, make coins or meme coins very easily, very cheaply on Solana. Use these big name people like Javier Milei or Melania Trump or Donald Trump or whatever, or Hawk Tuah, whatever. And their whole plan is to use their star power and then snipe the coins, basically get in there using, because they're the ones that are deving, they're the ones that are using bots, they're the ones that are understanding like when this is launching, how it's launching, liquidity and whatever, and get all the tokens and rug everybody. That this is a sophisticated business model, leveraging star power for dollars and then rugging. They don't care about crypto. They don't care about anything besides getting that US dollars and in filling their bank accounts. And I'm not even talking about crypto bags. They're not trying to get crypto. They don't care. They want the US dollars. And so this is interesting because it's showing more so than, I don't really care about Malay myself, but it's showing the apparatus and the vehicles behind this system of making meme coins and rugging people that I think a lot of people didn't know. And now that you know that, you can come in with more skepticism about just about every coin that is out there. And honestly, I don't really mess with meme coins unless I know I'm going to be going to the casino, and I have done that, and I have lost my money, not happily. I'd rather spend it on vacations to Miami. By the way, I'm back in Cleveland, everybody. But yeah, so I just think this is something that we should highlight and let everybody understand. Like, this is a huge business of a scam, and Hayden Davis is talked about to have something like $100 million or more personal net worth. So this guy has been very lucrative doing this.
Yeah, I think something to highlight there that you talked and mentioned is specifically the sniper bots and how Hayden Davis spoke about them. And basically his whole point was, because like, what is a sniper bot? Like, a sniper bot is something that basically tries to execute a trade before other people and tries to execute a trade on the blockchain quicker and faster and at a cheaper rate by like reading blockchain data. This is like what things that come important with like gas and stuff. But there's also just like being able to take the coins and hoard them, and then dump on them. And so Hayden Davis's point was like, we basically we Kelsier Ventures need to out snipe the snipers. It's kind of like you need a gun to you need a good guy with a gun to stop bad people with guns. Um, it's like kind of that argument versus where it's like, yeah, you need to be more offensive in a way.
Right.
rather than just building a product that has a safe launch. Um,
Right.
and there are ways to create meme coins or to create crypto tokens that are not that are we'll say this that are less snipeable, if that's a word I could use. And so like what he basically admitted was like insider trading, like, and market manipulation by doing that, right? So it's again the people. I believe that the people of Argentina deserve to hear what this guy has to say. This guy should have to go in front of a court and sit there and listen in Spanish and speak through a translator and have to sit through that. I've had to go. I haven't even been accused of like a crime, but I've sat in like Spanish or Latin American bureaucracy. It sucks. So good luck to him.
There's this
Have
great
fun, dude.
movie. There's this great movie. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's this I think it's a German woman, or she was either American woman or French woman, and a crime happened. Her husband fell off the roof. He died, and they thought that maybe she might have killed him. And so she was going through the court process in a foreign country using a translator, trying to speak in her, I think, her second or third language. Like I think it was French or German. I can't remember. I think it was French. She was trying to speak in, and then the whole thing, and they were trying to really use language against her, but she was speaking in her third language, and basically they're stacking up the cards against the woman just by the sheer fact
Mhm.
that she couldn't grasp the nuances of the language because it was her third language. And it was super interesting. Let's move on. I can't remember the name of the movie. If you guys remember, somebody send me an email or write comments on Spotify as you always do. Let's move on to the SEC. The SEC is delaying um, some ETFs. We're talking about Dogecoin, Litecoin, Solana, XRP, and ETFs. And I think this is very bullish because it shows a couple of things. One is it gives us a clear outline of when this is going to be decided. Look, ETFs for Ethereum didn't do well. Bitcoin did well. So I'm very excited to see like how these different ETFs handle in the market. But I think that was the two things that I think are really very interesting is number one is it gives us a clear deadline. October is when they have to decide something. And the second thing is everybody's waiting on this Paul Atkins, and Paul Atkins more pro crypto is probably going to or make regulations or enforce regulations that are going to be more for I would say fair crypto landscape and industry. And so these are just kind of like stacking up, saying like, okay, we're going to push those back until we get the dude in. And then once the dude is in, we are probably going to figure out what is going to happen, and then put them on the market. And we have a clear deadline of when that's going to happen. And so I think it's just a very bullish thing to see all these cryptos going out there and becoming being opened up to retail and traditional investors. And but I am very skeptical on how well these will do. I personally think Litecoin will do fairly well. I think Dogecoin, Solana are going to just fail horribly. But XRP also could probably do pretty well. What's your thoughts on all of this?
There was also a headline this week that the VanEck guys are pushing for an AVAX ETF as well. But I mean, overall, I mean, I've heard whispers through the forests that big enterprise and larger corporations uh, like don't really want to use Solana because it has that potential for getting stopped or blocked.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's just something that is always in the back of my head when I look at these things. Um, Ethereum and Bitcoin, as you said, it Bitcoin is just in a lot of ways the better store of value when it comes to this type of thing. When it comes to ETFs, they it's just about like the token as its own store of value. Like it doesn't act an ETF doesn't accurately represent what Ethereum comprehensively is. It's Ethereum's version as an ETF is just the store of value based on the price. But Ethereum is so much more than that. Ethereum is basically the world computer network, decentralized, and you can put its own software system, right? So
Mhm.
like how do you quantify that in an ETF? Like you can't really do that. And so the same goes for Solana. The same goes for XRP. Not so much for Doge. Doge itself is just a meme where you speculate on the price. So that's where I see like the issue here with at least like an Ethereum ETF or a Solana ETF, where something that you can build smart contract, even Bitcoin. There's a lot of Bitcoin DeFi out there now. There's a lot of Bitcoin Fi that's being built. And again, it's about creating like timestamp stores of values on the Bitcoin network. Um, so overall, I mean, again, to kind of zoom out and think more macro. Um, I think as you said, it is kind of positive that these things are being delayed. I don't think it's smart to just like allow all of these tokens to suddenly just be added to people's 401ks. Um, a lot of these tokens are still
Right.
seeing maybe volatility of 10, 15 point swings. Ethereum, Solana are all down 10, 15 points this week, which is just not positive to see. Um, and, if you're somebody with a 401k with Ethereum, it's not a very good sight. And it's not a very good like, it's not a very good pill to swallow in some ways. So, um, again, from the government's perspective, the government is going to view this through the lens of like consumer protection, right? People from the government's perspective of time, right? Where the government's been around for 300 years or 250 plus years. Um, monetary systems have been around way longer than that. FTX is still super fresh to these people, like all of these hacks. So this whole industry is still seen as this kind of like wild, wild west. Like we were just talking about Libra, like the fucking president of a country is involved. There was an African country, the Congo, that did a meme coin the same week as Libra, right? So there's multiple nation states out there engaging in this type of activity. Where if I am the United States and I am the like in a lot of ways like the world's store of value, like most wealth is stored in the United States or in United States institutions. A lot of it is entangled, basically, but across the world and in offshore accounts and things like that. But I think generally people would agree with that statement. So, like from the United States perspective, it's all about consumer protection and it's all about making sure that the hegemony of the dollar is not impacted super hard, and that overall you're not going to get some event where now there's millions of people whose 401ks were in Ethereum or in Solana, and the Solana network goes down, and a bunch of people, 401ks should go down 30% in a day, right? That's
Yeah,
insane
I don't,
to think
I don't,
about.
I don't. I'm gonna push back on the the framing of that. I don't necessarily believe that it's consumer protection more than market protection. And if you have assets in there that people can't be confident in, that could have some sort of stability, and that could be leveraged in different ways, then you're gonna have no confidence in the markets. And I don't think that this government, and I don't know if actually any government should care. That's another debate. I think that people should get scammed and frauded, and have bad actors out there. But I don't think that any government really should care if you lose your bag. Like, you lost your bag, and that's your bag. I mean, that kind of sucks. Um, but I think that the markets and the overall general macro of the market is more what I think that the government is going to protect. Your 401k is part of the market. So yes, I understand that, but I don't think that's consumer protection. I don't. So I don't know. I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I see what you're trying to say there. Yeah, I
Maybe I'm
can
just maybe it's
understand
just
how
semantics
they're
and it's all the same, but I don't know. I think that they don't care about your bag.
yeah, I mean, from the perspective that they wanna, like, privatize Social Security and that sort of thing, but, like, their perspective of people who can and a point to be made of, like, if you give into put into Social Security or you put into a 401k, like, you could earn more, um, you know, like, a Social Security earns more could earn more in the private sector is, like, overall point there, right? So, like, there are people who, like, by saying they don't care about how, certain systems work, they do care about making people more money ostensibly.
Right.
Um,
Right. And so no,
but
I
yeah,
and so I sorry, we're again
I
everybody.
don't
We're
think
this is live and we're talking over each other because of delays in internets and time and space. Physics is a thing. Go ahead,
Mhm.
Kyle.
Yeah, latency effect, right? Things have to go to space and come back. But yeah, like it's just it. I do believe there is this aspect of consumer protection of like trying to protect the average retail investor, especially after FTX. Because the government itself has to like put a bunch of resources to unraveling that, and it's not necessarily a positive thing. Um, to have to shift resources to in overly enforcing laws. I'm not, and I don't mean overly enforcing like they're going to send a bunch of cops on the street to try and enforce it, but it's like there's so many crimes out there that you have to be convicting people, and that's is an example of there was just so much crime you had to do something. You couldn't just run, right? So it's like that's in my opinion that is still very fresh in most regulators, in most uh, like most people's minds. There again, but you could always flip that and look at like take the like Flash Boys example of like how Wall Street's just like got the open check right now to just kind of do one. It's kind of almost like 2008 again. There are people who think we're staring down a cliff, um, but at the same time, like consumer buying, I don't know. Now we're just into like a macro argument of like how to look at the industry. But based on the poll, we want to transition onto this poll for a minute. Um, shows is people still don't view the industry in a positive light, whether it's the average person or like the government, right? So, um, people talk about how Ethereum doesn't have has a marketing problem. The entire crypto industry has a marketing problem. Like, it's an industry that like prides itself on like of understanding it. Like, and it's like, no, that this should just be way easier to do things. Um,
I
yeah.
okay. So this poll is okay. It was transition to the poll, but I'm gonna have to go back to your Social Security one, and because this was just on the All In podcast, and David Freeberg, he made a very interesting observation about this. I don't know if everybody watches or listens to the All In podcast, but I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, so I just summarized what he said from the All In podcast. I'm gonna read this really quick. And so Social Security is established in the 30s, invest solely in U.S. Treasuries, and that U.S. Treasuries averaged 4.8% annual return compared to the S&P 500's 11% annual return. And so I guess, do I think that Social Security should be privatized, like give it to Vanguard or BlackRock or Chase to manage Social Security? No, but do I think that the government could be doing better in investing and having different strategic ways to one to get Americans involved in the market, involved in American success, involved in American companies, and also have more returns so people can have a Social Security? I think Social Security is a great program. Um, but there are ways that there could be greater returns. And so S&P 500 again 11% had Social Security invested in the S&P 500 since 1971. Its fund would hold $15 trillion today instead of 2.7 trillion. Now, those are a lot of assumptions, of course, like that if you did the thing, then it would still perform the same way. And if the government was involved in investing and people were drawing down on that, it being retired, would it perform the same way? Would it perform better or worse? Who knows? But the fact is that if you just do those kind of maths and just talk about different investments in private sectors, or I'm sorry, in like the stock market as a whole, in some indices, if you're talking about Nasdaq, Dows, or S&P 500s, you're seeing that there is better ways to manage these funds. And the whole idea that the government basically found ways to get people to buy into U.S. Treasuries is an interesting aspect of that as well. You're basically the American people as taxpayers are buying into the United States government treasuries. So like that's also kind of uh, I don't know what to say if it's a way for the U.S. Uh-oh, did I just lose video?
Yeah, I lost you.
Okay. Anyway, so if you can still hear me, that's great. It's just a way for the government to basically, again, stack its own bags,
Mhm.
which I think is interesting. But anyway, so going back to this poll is so I going back to this poll. There's a lot of people that say only 10% of people say that they should increase federal funding for this for cryptocurrencies in a reserve. And so, if you can take this, to explain with this why I figure out my camera. Sorry, man.
Explain the poll.
Yeah, explain the
Voters
poll and
want
what
more
people.
funding for Social Security and Medicare and less for cryptocurrency. Um, yeah, I mean, in this poll, what people are trying to see is like people want more funding for um, like welfare programs and programs that benefit um, the greater good, I guess you could say. Um, Nearly everybody. Oh man, Matt stopped recording. Matt's internet crashed.
I think we're still
Here we
live, so
go.
good.
Back.
Continue. I think we're still live.
I mean, what I was just saying was just how I interpret that poll was just reading know, the average person or the greater majority of people from that poll want to see more allocation to programs like Social Security and Medicare versus cryptocurrency, like versus a strategic reserve, at least. Um, you know, and all of those things there, right? Social Security, Medicaid, roads and bridges, uh, public education, right? Those all benefit every like that's what I would want to see as well as like a citizen. Like make sure that we're caring and reinvesting in ourselves. I think that's a really important thing. Um, America's infrastructure for a long time, we spent more on the infrastructure in Afghanistan than we did in the United States. And this is the majority of my life as a 30 something year old, where the Iraq and Afghan war was like 20 years. Like, I think it's very important for the United States to, any country, to reinvest in its people. Like, I just think it's important to, like, if what else are we doing, right? Like, we all live on this planet. We should be trying to help each other. Like, we should be trying to make things better. Your road has a pothole. Well, your town should help fix that. If your society has a preponderance for market crashes in this capitalistic world, where basically we have a market crash every decade now. Like, yeah, having a safety net like something like Social Security should be viewed as a positive thing, especially for people in old age. Um, it makes sure people don't die in misery. like, like in an absolute squalor. A lot of people still do in America. Um, but there's a whole other
So,
argument to
so
unpack there
yeah,
of like the loss
I
of the
think
family unit and stuff.
so. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you with that. But okay. So when I read this poll, what I see is, um, stagnation versus forward development. I see Social Security and Medicare and things like that as people saying like, I just want more. We need more for Social Security. We could up the limits of Social Security 100%, and I think that's something that we should do, and all these other things. But basically, it's more of like a um, I don't want to spend money on moving things forward. What I want to do is just spend money on put more money into my pocket, which is cool. Again, we have to talk about the debt. We have to talk about spending. We have to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, and all those other things. Now, if you look at the bottom, you're talking about innovation. So it looks like people base their idea of should we invest in innovation or future looking projects as or not, and that's NASA, that's renewables, that's AI, and that's cryptocurrency and blockchain development. And so, if you are not putting money into that, you're talking about a nation that is going to be stagnant in technology and innovation. You're talking about being behind the 8 ball, and I really think that people don't understand the I guess the access of technological development and innovation and prosperity and security. That the more technology you have, the more innovation that you have as a country, has the best technology, the more secure you're going to be, and the more money you're going to make. And if we are get behind the 8 ball of, say, artificial intelligence, if we get behind the 8 ball of digital currency and CBDC, which I'll always tell everybody that the stable coin USDC or USDT will be the CBDC, but in a private market, we should really look at that. If we get behind on NASA and SpaceX and that kind of exploration, if we get behind on energy and that kind of and I'm not just talking about windmills. No, we're talking about fusion is a thing now. People are doing long lasting fusion, and how can we leverage that for almost abundant energy? Energy is something we're always going to need. What I see in this poll is a lot of people are too conservative with, hey, I think that this should be a priority of the country, and so I think cryptocurrency and blockchain development is something that I think all of this is something that you have to understand and have like a grasp about and understand how this is going to affect and fit into the culture of the world or the economic foundation of a country in the next 20 years. And I don't see that that is the priority or I think people are just saying, oh, we'll just keep it the same because they don't want to say decrease it because they also don't want to say increase it because they don't understand the substance or the impacts of this. But I promise if we get behind on AI, if we get behind on space exploration, if we get behind on energy projects, and Kyle's gone now, energy projects or our blockchain development, we are going to see a huge step back in quality of life and economy. So that's how I look at this poll. Do we have Kyle? All right, so let's just move on. Let's move on. A couple of things that we want to take a look at as well is so just a little bit ago, we've been seeing this Ash Crypto put out a release that there's a whale that now has increased their short to $365 million with a liquidation price of 85,592 Bitcoin. And so they are going to get massive payouts if we hit different levels. And so I think he has a level of 72 and one of 69. And everybody's saying, and the buzz is that this person definitely knows something's going to happen. We're going to have a big drop in the Bitcoin price, or else why risk almost $500 million? And Kyle is experiencing connectivity issues. So this is freaking a lot of people out. Long story short is if Bitcoin goes up only a couple $1,000, let's just take a look where we are right now. Only a couple $1,000, we're going to see him get liquidated, and we are in a very good place. Coin market cap, we're at $83,240. And so we're up about 0.5% in an hour, meaning that we're just slightly away from this person getting totally liquidated. I mentioned the All In podcast a little bit ago, and I really want to bring that up one more time because I think Chamath, he was talking to Andrew Schultz this week, and it's been something I was saying on the podcast probably for the past for years, honestly. And I don't repeat it enough. But when I heard Chamath say it, I said, "Oh, there's something I've been saying," and now it makes me feel even more confident to say it. And so I am gonna say it. And it's having a thunderstorm over here in Ohio, so you might hear some crackling of thunders and lightnings and rains on my windows. Um, what Chamath was trying to say is the mental. I want to say the training that you need to understand when you experience losses and how that is going to affect you mentally and how it's going to affect you physically, how it's going to affect your outlook, and how when you see a drawdown of your net worth by 50% because of a bear market, because of uh, a global pandemic, of the wrong tweet by the wrong people, and how that actually affects you mentally. And one of the things is that hi, welcome back, Kyle. I'm talking about something totally different now, and so I am going to just continue that, and you can pop in whenever. It's about the mental space you have to be at when investing, and if everybody was like I said, if anybody was watching the All In podcast, it's controlling your emotions and controlling your feelings, and people say that this is easy work, and a lot of people that haven't invested in the market and have a substantial amount of their net worth into, say, the S&P 500 or stocks or individual stocks or whatever, and they just put it into their home, which most Americans do. Like 60% of Americans have most of their 80% of their net worth in their home alone. And the second one would be their 401ks. But to see that, to try to manage yourself and your emotions when you see the market going up and down in different ways. And one of the biggest things about investing and keeping in the market is controlling that and managing those feelings. Again, if you have something, let's just say you have something like $1 million in the market, and you do see a 30% or 40% pullback to your net worth, and now your $1 million just got turned into 600 or 500. The amount of stress that puts on your life, that puts on your family, that puts on you and your honestly self value and how you value yourself as an individual is astronomical, that people really don't, I think, understand until they get in the position of saying that they lost in air quotes, because you're not losing until you sell, but are drawn down that kind of value. And when you're thinking of this, and this is why you see these memes on Twitter so much, of people saying, "Oh, I should have sold earlier. I should have sold the top," is because of that emotional feeling that you just lost, and a $500,000 is a lot of money for a lot of people. That you just lost something that could have made you a lot more secure. And we're talking about security. We're talking about your kids' colleges. You're talking, and to be able to mentally step back from the markets and play the long game, and to not take the immediate into effect into and into your like day-to-day life, and not like what Jamal Patia said, is to take it out on your family, take it out of your kids, take it out of your job, take it out on your coworkers. It is work, and it's more personal emotional work than it is actual going outside and digging a ditch. And to do that personal emotional work is huge work. And so that's why when new people come into the crypto space and they say they invest in Bitcoin, let's just say at $109,000, they bought the top and it's now at 83,000, as we just said, they have not processed that emotional work yet. That emotional work is something that comes over time, comes over losses, comes over seeing that things can recover and things can get better. And I want everybody that is new to the space and that is starting to go through these ebbs and flows. And in crypto, the whole thing is the whole thing is shorter. It's a totally shorter time frame than say the S&P, where you see these cycles come in and out. Last one we had was like 2008, 2011, and it came back up. Then 2020, we had this drop because of a black swan event, and now we're back way higher than we ever have been. And so, but those are longer time frames. When you're talking about crypto, you're talking about a 2 year up, a 2 year really bad down 70%, and then 2 years up again, up 3, 4, 500%. You have to learn how to emotionally handle that, and that is a lot of work. Kyle, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I think this comes back to what you were saying earlier about like investing and how people like in that poll you were showing, right? I dropped off. What I was thinking there too was that like the United States is a country, it's not like a manufacturing country anymore, right? It's very much like and focusing on that, focusing on innovation and producing this type of like tries. It's focusing, or at least the J1 visas and stuff. I think that's the J1 visa, the like or the O1 visa, the like high talent one. Uh, you come in and you can work on premium projects. It's the type of
You
thing
mean
that
the H1
Elon tries
visa?
to exploit as well.
The H1 visa
Yeah,
is
I
for,
think it's one
yeah.
of those.
Okay. Okay, I think we lost Kyle again. The beauty of lives when you're traveling in different hotels and you don't know um, how the internet's going to hold up over a long term. Um, the interesting thing about hotels, and I just, if you are listening to the podcast, I've been traveling. There are still hotels that charge you for the internet. That's a thing in 2025 where they said internet access $12.99. There are still hotels that will give you some kind of shitty slow speed and then try to upcharge you $10 a day for quality internet. That is a thing. That's a business model, and it's absolutely crazy. And there's plenty of hotels that will just give you good speed. Citizen M is one, and they have plenty of bandwidth and a lot of speed for people to work at. That's why I like staying there when I travel. But other than that, man, it's absolutely crazy that people have hotels that just don't have and they don't invest in good speeds. Let's go into some listener questions. Let's see here. Desiree, she asked a question I thought was pretty common. What are some, in your opinion, what are a couple of really safe wallets to keep your crypto in? I just posted on Substack. If you're following Substack and if they have like this little Twitter feed sort of thing where you can scroll, I posted on that a article from Jameson Lopp. It's about controlling your seed phrases. Take a look at that, and I would say read that, and then I think you're going to get your opinions of not only good OPSEC, you're going to get some good, just ideas of how to store your private keys and keep your seed phrases safe. Also, I think that you're going to get some good recommendations for wallets in there, and then through that whole process of reading this piece that he wrote, and it's about a 14-minute read, you'll be able to not only would know which wallet that you would like to use, but it's not just knowing what wallet you like to use, but it's how to use it and how to keep yourself safe. So Desiree, I think that you should read that. It's also on our Twitter, or our X. So please take a look at over there. Next thing is, see, I usually read these ahead of time while Kyle's talking to protect, and um, I plan the next transition, and I have to do this all live. So I should have done this differently. Let me see here. Twin, he wrote in again. He said that he appreciates my response, but we had some loss in translations. I don't know what that means, but I guess we did have some loss in translations. His question was more about where to find these companies, for where to find companies to invest in, and what news outlets, forum sources do you personally follow for to spot promising projects. I think the number one obviously is Twitter, but then again, it's like whatever falls in your feed. Obviously, the news sources of the Block, Decrypt, Daily Crypto News, obviously. All those news sources. There's a lot of Substacks here that also look at these different projects as well. Just take a look and search crypto on Substack, and you'll find a lot of them. Find ones that I always are skeptical of people that are talking about trading advice and are trying to talk about number go up. And if you're talking about number go up, I don't know if you're really looking at the macro of everything that's happening. And so I would again look at just read all the news, listen to the podcast. The fact is putting in the time and understanding the ebbs and flows of the market, understanding uh, different things. When you see scams happen, why they happen, you'll start to get this kind of, I guess, second sense of what's happening in the crypto space and in the industry. And through time, you'll be able to make decisions and see other guys emerge that are just consistent with their work, consistent with their message, consistent with their partnerships, that they're just not BS PR partnerships, which happens quite a bit. Is somebody said, "Hey, we just teamed up with whatever," and it's just some kind of stupid partnership on paper, or they send each other an email or something, and then they say they have a partnership, which is absolutely ridiculous. But you'll see like people who are actually making those connections and working in the space. I've always been impressed with people like Chainlink. It's one of those coins that I was skeptical at the beginning, because there was a lot of oracles that are coming out, and I was like, okay, who's gonna really come out on top? And Chainlink has just been really consistent with their work, with their communication, with their message, they've just been diligent. And so you can see them out there. And the fact is, it's gonna be very hard to rug somebody if they're already so forward facing and so much in the news and in the public, um, so much in the news and so much in the public, eye. So it's like, are they really going to rug you? I really don't think so. So again, I do trust companies like that that just keep out there. And again, a big fan of XYO for same reasons. XYO is a company that started in 2018, and they just continue to just be for front facing. And so if you'll see the co-founders, Marcus and Ari, constantly addressing people in their project. And so that's just something I'd like to see. Now, are they going to be successful? Are they going to go to the moon? Are they going to become a $13 billion market cap, which I would like to see? Um, who knows? But you can trust that they are out there and they are working on their project consistently, because at the end of the day, it's their reputation, it's their um, they're at risk, even more risk than you are in your bags. They're at risk of the reputation of their brand, personal brand, their reliability, if they don't deliver on what they say they're going to deliver. And so that's what I kind of look for. And you'll just see that over time. There's no way for you to pick this, in my opinion, any new company, somebody that's going to, you don't have the access, but over time you will see that these certain companies do emerge, that they just are consistent with building, with making partnerships, with trying to innovate, with trying to find product market fit, and so on and so forth. So continue just to read everything and just put time into it. And then I think the time is going to be able to uh, answer a lot of those questions for you. Anyway, that's our live. Kyle is in and out. Our discussion has totally ended. I don't know where he went. So we are going to end it here. You can find us at dailycryptonews.net. You can subscribe to us on Substack. Please subscribe so you can get our emails there. If you are a paid subscriber, you're going to get access to this live in your feed, and then we will put it for the free subscribers in a couple days, and I will then post it on the podcast probably about Wednesday. We'll take the day off and then just throw this up here. Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in.